As it currently stands, I don't think there's any problem with the proposal as such. Uh, Mostly on the grounds that it affects a very tiny minority of people. It has alienated and grated on the majority for a lengthy enough period of time that we're sitting here and discussing it. And additionally, it's not a core religious obligation within the faith itself, and largely rooted out of ethnic practices specific to Afghanistan and modern Salafi Islam. It's not something that my family does or anybody I know really does. Even though many of them are practicing and and they would call themselves conservative Muslims. But I would like to focus on exactly where this need comes from to start having this conversation from Kemi herself. I think that you need to start asking questions about how this is going to be implemented and why this conversation is even being had. And from my perspective, it largely seems like Kemi she seems to me to be a weak leader of a weak party that is trying to encroach on reform grounds and reform policies to try and claw back some ground on the right, which makes it seem like an unprincipled move, particularly in the wake of Nick Timothy's comments about the mass public prayer just before Eid. And additionally, I think while the burqa, you could make a case for as potentially alienating the majority of people. It needs to be, as far as the implementation is concerned, it needs to be supplanted and supported with strong protections for other forms of religious practice in public life. And this would include things like the hijab, for example, which is
Sure.
A mass expression.
Indeed. It's an interesting discussion, Mohammed, as well. I'll bring you into this debate. The Conservative Party has traditionally been a party of libertarianism. And when I say libertarianism, I mean of personal choice, of free expression. Do you think this would be the right move for the Conservatives? And do you agree with what Mustafa is saying?
Good evening, Alex. First of all, nobody in my extended family or amongst my friends wears a burqa. And I, as a Muslim, don't believe that there is any religious requirement to wear one. I think people who wear one are frankly nuts. However, if they have a different view of what Islam requires of them, I think it's entirely wrong to force them to not wear a burqa if they think that that is religiously required. When there are security issues in banks, airports, etc., or indeed when it affects a teacher's ability to teach young children, the law already stops that person being employed as a teacher if they want to wear a burqa. But I think it's fundamentally wrong to impose one set of people's religious beliefs on another, as some European countries have done. So I'm totally opposed to a ban. As to speculating as to why Kemi Badenoch has done it, she's been pursuing a whole series of culture war issues. Well, first of all, let me say where I'm coming from politically. I used to be a Conservative Party member for 36 years. I resigned the day they chose Boris Johnson as party leader because I regarded him as morally unfit. And for the last 6 years, I've been a happy member of the Liberal Democrats. But I'm not speaking for the Liberal Democrats. I'm just speaking for myself and the Campaign for Shared European Values. But I think Kemi Badenoch will be much better advised politically to concentrate on economic policy and explaining why the current government is getting economic growth wrong and playing to the Conservative Party's strengths rather than trying to stoke up culture wars. The one thing she will do is alienate even more Muslim voters than she's already done.